What's up, humans? You're listening to the What is Humans podcast with Shane Strunk and Dennis Kluba. Make sure to follow us on our social media pages. On Instagram at What is Humans podcast, on TikTok at What is Humans podcast, and on YouTube at What is Humans podcast. Today, Dennis and I are discussing pressure is a privilege. Enjoy.
You're listening to the What is Humans podcast. This is your first time tuning in. This is a personal development podcast in which Shane Strunk and myself, Dennis Kluba, talk about things that are going on in our own life and our own experiences and try and figure out ways to better approach them and tackle some of those conversations. And most importantly, we are experts in almost nothing.
What's up, man?
Nothing much. We've been on a tear, kind of getting back into the grind. I feel like every time during summer, like we've said before, it can get a little bit out of sorts with travel plans. I feel like this is everyone's experience.
Yeah, I feel like we've adjusted well.
Yeah.
We've kept our streak alive, and I think we're ahead of it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this topic today.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good one.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about pressure as a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
This idea came from a podcast I listened to. It's the Jay Shetty On Purpose podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The guest was Tom Holland,
right?
Who is big actor, played Spider-Man. But really, that quote came from a sports analogy.
Yeah.
Which you highlighted.
Yeah, it was from Billie Jean King, who is obviously one of the greatest female tennis players in history. Obviously in the American side for sure, but she ended up going, to 8. She won 8 different singles Masters tournaments. So,
yeah.
But
what was the full quote?
Full quote is, pressure is a privilege. It's only given to those who earn it.
Yeah, love it.
Which I think adds another layer
yeah.
to pressure is a privilege.
Yeah. I just thought, I think we'll digest this as we go, but it was just interesting how I've just looked back on my own experiences, and I feel like we've talked about this a lot on the pod as some of the best times where I felt like I was in flow or I was just doing well in multiple facets of my life was when I was extremely busy.
Yeah.
And that was just the one example that I thought related to this. But
I think
what struck you about this topic?
Yeah, I think something that's just we've heard this pressure is a privilege a lot, but I kind of want to relate it back to how I think a lot of my own experience and then maybe a lot of our generation right now, but I was really lucky, and I'm sure you feel the same. I grew up in this amazing household where we talk about the sailboat of life.
Yep.
A lot of my basic needs were met every day.
Yeah.
And my parents put me in that position, which was, just this blessing that they worked really hard to do. But now being an adult and kind of stepping out on our own and recognizing that, your family is going to be there for you. But whether it's your career, a passion, like we played sports in college, your parents can't play the game for you.
Right.
They can't go to practice. Your parents can't do great for you at your job. If you lose your job, if you want to strike out and do something different, they can't apply.
Yeah, they can't fail and learn the lessons of life. You have to go through that challenge, those ups and downs in life if you want to grow.
Yeah, and just with having that safety met from a young age, I think I took for granted that safety was met, and I wasn't stretching, growing.
Yeah, you weren't out in the cold.
Nobody was forcing me to, hey, you got to go work an extra job to help out to put food on the table.
Yeah.
And now as an adult, and especially this topic, it really sets me on fire. I'm excited about it because I recognize that pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
But you have to earn it or put it on yourself.
Yeah, you have to put it on yourself.
Yeah.
it's just a reoccurring theme of comfort versus discomfort,
Yeah.
on this pod. And I just think that the idea of pressure, if we want to define it, it's like putting ourselves in situations, in a pressure cooker setting where we can turn into diamonds. We can challenge ourselves, get a little uncomfortable, like embrace fear, like we just talked about in our last episode.
Yeah.
And if we are able to do that, that's where we get those perks that we're after.
Yeah.
That the happy experience or the fulfillment or the purpose.
Yeah. What's your take on, like, I think of, there's a couple different ways, and we'll talk about the hows of, putting healthy pressure on ourselves, I'm sure, but your take on, I think of like a tough workout, or, whether that's in the gym or it's, on the track, or, you're running. Sure. You choose to step into that arena, and, it's like, man, maybe I don't want to do this today, but I'm going to put myself in the arena to put pressure, versus like pressure sometimes is forced on you without you deciding.
Yeah.
Like you said, lose your job, things happen where you have to provide more than you thought. There's like a sickness in the family or something like that. Is this like, in this topic, do you think that pressure for a lot of people has to be chosen versus like sometimes it just happens?
Yeah, no, it's sometimes our natural environment, is high stakes.
Yeah.
We all come from different walks of life, and we all have different cards to play, and we have to make the best of our given situation.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that this idea of pressure, of, maybe you don't need to force any more pressure on yourself, but I think just recognizing it, it's almost like a mindset thing of seeing it as an opportunity to improve or to better yourself, or for the betterment of a team you're on, or a family unit, et cetera. It's seeing it for that versus this is happening to me and there's nothing I can do to change it.
Yeah, and we've talked about, I think it was maybe 3 episodes ago, something like that, but it was about something's going to happen, events happen in your life. Sometimes it's unplanned. There's always going to be those things. It's how we respond to them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of where there's 2 sides to this coin of, you can choose to put yourself into high stakes situations. Like we said, going to workout classes or trying something new, maybe the stakes aren't that high, but it can elicit, high pressure, I feel like.
Yeah, it's like you're putting yourself in a setting, in public.
Yeah.
To do something maybe that's vulnerable
To
for
perform,
you.
yeah. Versus something bad can happen that you weren't ready for.
Right.
And the opposite of like embracing that pressure is crumbling and kind of thinking, well, there's no way out.
Yeah.
And I think the ideal response that we know is, okay, this just happened. I can't do anything about it. Let's use this as an advantage.
Yeah, let's see what's within our control.
Yeah.
There are going to be things and situations in your life that are uncontrollable. So it's kind of being able to identify that, to see these challenges as opportunities versus, this unfortunate situation knocking you on your ass and you not being able to do something about it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's talk about the back part of that quote. Pressure is a privilege, but it only comes to those who earn it.
Yeah.
I think that part is really, really profound, just because everyone, for the most part, society they hate pressure. Pressure to make decisions, pressure to perform. I think about sales, I think about deadlines and work. I think about school, there's people that get like test anxiety. That's pressure. And in this case, Billie Jean King talks about it as, you have to work to earn the right to have pressure put on you, which is a hilarious opposite of what most people think or feel.
Yeah, it's like the most uncomfortable position that you can think of, or it's the thing that you might fear the most. You have to be practicing that, of getting uncomfortable, of pushing yourself each day in order to get to those situations or those big game time moments.
Yeah.
To feel that pressure.
Yeah.
And that is what she's saying is that's what has to be earned is practicing those uncomfortableness of being vulnerable or tearing your muscles down so you can build them back up, those types of things.
Mm-hmm. In moments in our daily lives, like you mentioned, earning that opportunity of, hey, we need you in this meeting to close a client, to close a sale, or you do run the race for a marathon, or whatever race you're going to run. It's you in your own mind are, okay, I've done all the work up to this point. I've earned this moment in which the butterflies, the nervousness are this thing that you've earned. I want to do good.
Yeah.
I want to crush it. The opposite of that feeling is when people say, hey, no pressure. No pressure sounds like a great idea in reality. But when I hear no pressure, it's like I think about, oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I could fall on my face. I don't need to prepare. There's no pressure. Yeah. And that's a world that we probably don't want to be in.
Yeah. And I think it's also like telling ourselves no pressure is it almost like does the opposite of what it's
supposed to do.
Well, it's like it highlights that it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And really we should just be highlighting, hey, just do your best.
Yeah.
And if we could just highlight that mindset or that positivity, it's so much more effective than highlighting that, hey, this is a big thing you're about to do.
Yeah.
Which is what happens when you say, hey, no pressure.
Yeah. And I think living like in this world where you have very rare pressure situations or moments, like most people shy away from them.
Yeah.
I think that, there's going to be nervousness. There's going to be uncomfortability. Your heart's going to be racing out of your chest, right? You want to do really good. Whether you fail or you don't win the game or, you don't get the pitch or you do win, you're kind of robbing yourself of that true elation of, hey, I gave it my all out there. Because I know when I don't prepare the way that I'm supposed to for big moments, it's like I'm going into the big race, the big game, the big pitch, and I've already let myself down. I'm like, I don't feel confident.
Yeah, you didn't put in the work to
earn that.
Yeah, to be able to perform.
Yeah.
To have that high pressure moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think a little bit, I want to get your take on what world either in choosing pressure or earning it versus procrastination, because I'm a procrastinator, that I almost enjoy waiting, or I have in the past, to put more pressure on myself to get it done, which is a bad habit that I have.
Well, I think your avenue for pressure, I'm a procrastinator as well.
Yeah.
You are using time as your tool to give yourself pressure.
Yeah.
Instead of like the beginning of the week or each day of like, hey, I'm going to put pressure on myself to get this part of this project done, to start, to begin, to be at a certain point by this deadline. That's where we need to be putting pressure earlier and often in our days versus letting procrastination be that pressure tool for us.
Yeah. I think that's an unbelievable how mechanism. So let's stop right there and get into the how we apply this pressure in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I don't know where we want that one to go, but maybe two or something. But what do you think we start with?
We'll talk it through. I think there's got to be a how somewhere in the, where we're putting our responsibility.
Okay.
Like a mindset thing.
Yeah.
Of are we taking ownership of what we can control?
Yeah.
Or are we having the mindset of this happened, playing the blame game of, this is my environment. I have poor cards. I can't play. So there's got to be something around how our outlook is for a situation. Yeah,
taking ownership over where you're at right now and what you can do. I think about it as when people are coming to the last shot of the game, there's going to be people in life that say, hey, I want the ball. I want the pressure. I want to take the last shot because they feel that they're confident in what they've prepared for and what they've earned that right to take the last shot.
So it's that awareness of where you are specifically, that ownership. I think the second is like, make it like, do what you say you're going to do, of like, practice it, like get the reps in so you can have those high pressure moments feel like easy moments.
Yeah. And I think that comes with earn the moments. Like on that step 2 of, hey, there's like, man, you want to live this great, amazing life. You have to do the things day in and day out to earn that big game, big opportunity, big pitch.
Yeah.
And that has to happen every day.
Yeah.
It can't be like you wake up one day and you're like, well, I want to play in the big game.
Yeah.
That's not how it works, right?
Yeah. And then should our third be the one we just talked about?
Yeah. It has to be something that, it's every
Really
day,
often. Yeah.
but a relationship to how are you feeling pressure?
Yeah.
In procrastination, we talked about time, but it's think about putting pressure on. Okay, let's use urgency and doing it right now too.
Yeah.
I want to be here now.
And another way to say the same idea is like setting micro goals, within a macro goal.
Yeah.
Of daily goals or to-do lists, in a larger plan. So it's just think, have goals for this. Yeah.
A small how within that, I think a lot of times to put that pressure on yourself is time blocking and saying, okay, for the next 45 minutes, I have these 5 things that I just need to accomplish. Do that. That breaks down that macro goal of I'm terrible about. If I have 8 hours to do something, I wait until the last 3 hours.
Yeah.
Versus if I put on myself, hey, this first 45 minutes, let's do one of those things.
Yeah, it's moving that pressure sooner.
Yeah.
Or making it a smaller window versus that larger window.
Yeah, completely.
I love it. So why are we talking about pressure as a privilege?
Yeah. I think that personally, trying to achieve the things that we want to achieve right now, I felt that when we first moved out here and kind of previous to that, there was a little bit of like this idea that this safety had kind of created, you go to school, you do the right things.
Sure.
You get the job and it's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm set.
Yeah.
And as comfortable as that is, I'm almost more comfortable now in doing and putting pressure on myself to achieve. I felt unsatisfied when there wasn't pressure. And I want to live in a world where I'm fulfilled, I'm satisfied, I'm happy. And that world involves pressure for me.
Yeah. What struck me about this was just kind of like an understanding of we're always going to be seeking comfort. We're always going to be seeking the fastest way to do something.
Yeah.
The quickest way from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be safe. We want comfort. We want to be, have a roof over our head.
Yeah.
And I think that understanding of your kind of human nature needs, within the brain, it's going to be hard to put yourself in these situations. So I just know that it's a habit, a behavior that I have to instill within myself of getting uncomfortable, trying these difficult things, putting pressure on, putting goals in place. Otherwise, I'll just be comfortable letting life come to me instead of approaching it or having my own agency in life.
Yeah, completely. Let's do a little bit of a recap. So today we talked about pressure as a privilege. That quote Shane kind of brought to us from Tom Holland in a different podcast, but really he got that from Billie Jean King, who was a famous U.S. tennis champion. And we talked a little bit about, the ways in which procrastination, pressure that we put on ourselves versus when pressure happens maybe to us and how we respond to that and how we can maybe change or flip our mindset into using that pressure for good and seeking it out versus, like you said, feeling it and kind of shying away from pressure.
Yep. And we got into our hows. Our first how was really to find ways of ownership, of identifying exactly where you are. By doing this, we can see what's within our control and what's not.
Yeah.
We can look at situations difficulties as opportunities instead of some unmovable force.
Yeah.
And then our second, which you said, was how we have to earn that pressure. We have to practice it. We have to daily do, difficult things to earn that pressure.
Yeah.
And that will allow us in those big game time moments to perform, to live up to that pressure.
Completely. And then the last one, like you said, we talked about how we have to do things early and often and almost create these micro goals in order to achieve, get over that hump of procrastination and look at it from a perspective of let's put the pressure on right at the start of the day.
Yeah, let's put urgency on that.
Completely.
And then we got into our whys. My why was just a understanding of how easy it is to seek comfort, to turn to comfort, and not that we can't enjoy the pleasures of life. It's just an understanding that in order to grow or in order to achieve some of these goals that I have, I have to challenge myself each day.
Completely. And then I just talked about kind of feeling a little bit unsatisfied in moments where I felt too comfortable. There was too much time. There wasn't high enough stakes, and understanding that the satisfaction, the fulfillment, the happiness that I'm craving comes from having pressure within my life.
And I think that wraps another week of
What is Humans? Thanks, guys.